Hey everyone, it's me, Minnie Alexander. I'm here again tonight. Hello, everyone. So, a lot of you guys know that follow me. I am an author, and the book that I wrote is called A White Man's Whore. And in writing this book, I had a lot of mixed emotions. I didn't know how people were going to respond to it, to the cover, to the title, to the content. But it's something that kind of was weighing on me that I needed to write. So I will explain what my book is about and also read parts of chapter 7. But yeah, so we're here again. And anyone listening, please press the like button and please subscribe. If you like the content, share it with someone. Say, hey, I heard this lady named Minnie Alexander and I like what she's talking about. Or, hey, I heard this lady named Minnie Alexander, and what she's saying is a bunch of BS. Listen to her. Whichever way you go, I always give everybody space to have their own opinion, even if their opinion is opposing mine. So, okay, the book, A White Man's Whore. If you guys are interested in the book, it is on Amazon. So you guys can go on Amazon and check that out. And yeah, I will have a website coming very, very soon. And the website will have, of course, all of my information and any articles that I write and all that good stuff. And so, yeah, my channel is, I like talking about relationships. Just the interracial stuff. I mean, that is part of it. But I like talking about relationships. Relationships are very important. And about, an intimate relationship. Very important, but one of the hardest things to do. Very hard to do. We have a lot of divorce rates and people just not knowing how to get it together. But tonight, I am going to be focusing on interracial dating, and I have a new service now, and I know some Black women who are thinking about interracial dating. They have no one to talk to. Even though I kind of see it coming, kind of rising, Black women stepping outside of dating Black men, it's still not as popular as Black men dating white women. So a lot of Black women, they don't have anyone to talk to or get advice from. So what I'm doing one-on-ones. Yes, I'm doing one-on-ones. So if you are interested in talking to me about, if you're a Black woman and you're interested in talking to me about possibly dating outside your race, I I'm not going to say I'm promoting it, but I am here to talk to 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 talk with Black women about that and find the best thing that they can do. If it is stepping outside of their race, then I will support that. If they really don't want to, I'll also talk to them about that. I feel like I'm qualified because if you read my book, I've disclosed in my book that I have dated outside of my race, not exclusively. I love Black men, but I have dated outside of my race since I was 16. So I feel like I am qualified to talk to Black women about the experience of dating non-Black men. And I'm also experienced with dating Black men too. I got those stories too. So, and then also white men who are dating Black women who are thinking about it. I'm also open to talk to you and do one-on-ones. Some white men just don't know how to approach a Black woman. Sometimes they just don't know what to say, and they can say some ignorant stuff and make themselves look really bad. So that's the service that I am now able to provide. So if you guys want to take this number down, it's 916-883-1133. I will put it in the description. 916-883-1133. I prefer if you text me first and let me know that you are interested in talking to me, and we can discuss the price. And yeah, I'm here for you guys. So let's see, what are we doing tonight? We are talking about my book. Again, A White Man's Whore. That is, you can get it on Amazon. And I chose chapter 7. So before I go to chapter 7, I want to read you guys all the chapters. Not all the chapters, meaning the whole book, but just the titles of all the chapters. It has 12 chapters in this book. So chapter 1, My First Encounter. Chapter 2, If You Are a White Man Reading This Book. Chapter 3, Three Kinds of White Men, Three Kinds of Black Women. Chapter 4, White Men's Obsession. Chapter 5, Comparison. Chapter 6, The Numbers Do Not Lie. Chapter 7, I Will Never Date a White Man. Chapter 8, I Have Been with a White Man. Here's My Story. Chapter 9, Can a White Man Really Understand the Struggle? Chapter 10, Black Men Roll Their Eyes. Chapter 11, Love is Love. Chapter 12, New Point of View. So those are the chapters of my book, and we're going to focus on chapter 7 tonight. All right, chapter 7, I Will Never Date a White Man. Now, that chapter was inspired because the majority of Black women that I know, might be family or friends, when we start talking about this topic of interracial dating, they are not against it where they look down on other Black women, but just their personal choice. They would not date outside of their race. So I felt this chapter was important for women, Black women who say, I will never date a white man, to hear why. And kind of break it down a little bit about how many little black girls are raised. Now, I was raised in a household with two Southern parents, where they were raised in the South, of course, and they saw racism all the time. You know, white people terrorized them. You know, my dad knew that if he, looked at a white man the wrong way, being raised in Louisiana, he might be hanging from a tree. So I had parents that had these experiences, but despite them having these experiences, they've never really shaped me on who I shouldn't or should date. My mom would always tell me, it's about how he treats you, period. And growing up, when I would bring a white boy home or a black boy home, my parents would treat them just the same, with respect, as long as they were treating their daughter well. So I was raised a little bit different than a lot of black women, because some Black women are taught that you don't do that. You don't date outside of your race, or you will be somewhat shunned, talked about, or stamped as all these negative things for doing that. Versus Black boys, and again, when I talk, I don't say every Black boy, every Black girl. No, like I said, I'm the exception on how I was raised. But a lot of Black boys, it's kind of like having a white woman as a trophy. So they're not really taught that, So yeah, so a lot of Black women, they will never ever date outside of their race. So chapter 7, I'll read a little bit about this chapter. Okay, so let's see, where should I start at? So I am starting on page 42, second paragraph. It says, a Black woman named Ebony, when asked if she would ever date white man, answered, no, never. Oh, excuse me. No, never have I ever will date a white man. She continued, I was raised very differently. My mom and dad would have disowned my sisters and me. Also, I have a strong love for black men, even if they do not love themselves. End quote. As black women, we still live in fear of judgment and ridicule. Judgment is one reason why many black women will not date outside of their race. So that was the second paragraph on page 42 in chapter 7. Chapter 7 is named I Will Never Date a White Man. So that was a lady who I interviewed on her reasons why she would never date a white man. To me, that was fear. She'll never do it because of fear. And again, I don't look at myself as promoting interracial dating. I feel that black women who would like to expand their options, that is an option. Ebony, I don't remember if Ebony was married or not, or if she was just dating, but that was her answer. And my friends, they say that they are disgusted to they even thought of having a white man touch them. So, different black women have their different reasons on why they would never ever. For me, what I'm seeing, and I have I've said this before in previous videos, that I have a lot of good black female friends that are not married. They're not married. And we know statistically that the pool of black men that you can fish from is not an equal ratio to black women. And, to give the black woman a chance to be married, to have a relationship. And I say healthy relationship, not saying you can't have a healthy relationship with a black man, but to give her a chance to have that union, if that's what she desires. It's a possibility she needs to expand her options. But my book, A White Man's Whore, will help her in expanding her options, where she can weed out the white men who are absolutely no good for her. And there's actually a lot of them. There's ones out there that it's more of a fetish than something real. And that's one thing I do not want my black sisters to go through. That's why I wrote this book. I wrote the book to give them kind of a heads up if they do step out of their race and date non-black men, if they choose to do so. So, chapter in my book, chapter 7, titled I Will Never Date a White Man. I will read a little bit more. So, here's a few quotes from black women who are absolutely, positively against dating non-black men. Here goes the first quote. I would not date a white man. I do not trust white people. I could not go to sleep next to a white man and sleep soundly. I really don't trust white people in general. I totally understand that quote. I love history. I love history. I love reading about history. And historically, yeah, white people haven't treated us that well, nor other people from other countries that well. So I understand when this question is asked to a black woman about would she ever date a white man, and her answer is she don't trust him, and everybody has their own experiences, and black women and black men have their own experiences with dealing with white men or white people in general. And I believe everyone's experiences shapes how they see their world and how they see other people. So this woman who gave me this quote, or excuse me, who gave me that answer about not trusting white people, and she couldn't sleep next to one, she's justified in not wanting to date a non-black man. So the next quote is, it's a short one. Never. I really don't trust them. This is from another woman who says the same thing about not trusting a white man. Um, I was being interviewed by, oh gosh, what's his name? Conan. Oh my God, his name just, he's a big YouTube guy who talks about why white men love black women. And I remember towards the end of the interview, if you guys are interested, you guys can go to, I think, my playlist, and it's under interviews. And you can go and listen to the interview, him interview me. And I remember he asked me a question about, I forgot exactly how he phrased it. Something about how can he get black people to trust him, or black people don't trust him. And I was just blatantly honest. I wasn't trying to be rude. Most black people don't trust white people. There hasn't been enough time has passed to for them to gain our trust as a whole. So again, when black women give that reason of not trusting white men, yeah, I totally get it. Now, also historically, there have been white people who risk their wealth, their health, their family's stability to help black people get to freedom, to fight for equality. A lot of those white people are not talked about, or they're not brought into our history, even though there are a very small percentage of white people, especially when we were in slavery, that helped. But nevertheless, they were. I remember I took my daughter to Philadelphia many years ago. I'm horrible with remembering names, y'all. Y'all get that when you continue to listen to me. I'm horrible with names, but I was in Philadelphia, and there was this it wasn't a plantation, excuse me. It was this mansion that this white man owned many, many years ago when slavery was still exist. And he basically, him, his wife, and I think his son. Well, this man was so important because he was like the right hand man of George Washington. And so this man basically had this mansion and this beautiful property, and he helped, I think they said, about 2,000 slaves, a white man, helped about 2,000 slaves get to freedom. I mean, built a tunnel under his house just in case he ever got raided. They could get in the tunnel and go out by the river and not get caught. I mean, his whole house, he basically dedicated to that. So again, I'm talking about a small few, but still give people credit when they have credit, when they deserve credit. Me personally, one of my closest friends growing up was a white girl, and I think she really helped me in seeing um, Jenny Jones said very few. I agree. I agree. And in dating, I'm assuming she's saying very few, meaning we could trust. And in dating, that's why I wrote my book, A White Man's Horse. So again, if a black woman makes that decision that, you know what, I've dated black men for 15 years, 20 years, 5 years, whatever it is, and I want to try something different, please read my book. Please. Conan is no John Brown. You know, I don't want to talk too much about that. I have my own personal opinion that I'm not gonna put on these YouTube streets, Um, but what was I saying? Goodness gracious, I lost my train of thought again. Why do we have to go back hundreds of years to find a white man's series about fighting racism? Why do we have to go back hundreds of years to find a white man's series about fighting? Well, it's not that I went back hundreds of years to prove that point. It's just that was what came into my head, where I actually went to this mansion and seeing this person of wealth that, like, I guess for me, I was talking about the story about Philadelphia and me going to see that the guy who was George Washington's right hand man. To me, that was amazing because this white man chose to do that. If they would have caught him, he made a conscious decision to basically see how important it was that black people were actually people, versus I'm pretty sure he was taught that we were not people back then, to put his wealth and everything else in jeopardy. Now, in 2022, do we have white men like that I could just sit up here and say, if they are, they're not in the media. If we have a white man or a white woman fighting like that and putting their career, their wealth, their everything else to continue to fight for equality, for Black people or people of color. I can't think of any. If you guys can think of any white men or white women in 2022 that are fighting for equality or shining the light on racism, and could jeopardize them being comfortable, let me know. I can't think of any. So okay, so if you guys are just listening, I am reading chapter 7 of my book, and chapter 7 is titled "I Will Never Date a White Man." I'm just reading quotes that I got from women in writing my book, Black women, talking about their reasons of why they wouldn't date a white man. And the two quotes that I read, the biggest thing is trust. They don't trust them. So here's the next quote. Hell no. I would never date a white man. I can't trust them or their motives. I definitely would question every interaction, exchange, and convo. I think white men have a superiority complex in general, even when they are cool. So we're in the third quote, and it goes back to the trust and a white man's attitude. Turn this Black woman off. So let me read another quote. I will start off saying I prefer Black men. At this point in my life, I would not date a white man. I will admit that I am biased. I wasn't always this way. Around 21 of age, I did date a white man. This relationship forever traumatized me. The white man did not acknowledge someone in his family was racist. The racist came out when they met me. From this experience, I will never give another white man a chance. No, thank you. Not worth it. That was a good quote. Yes, I do meditate. Yes, I do. I try to be calm. I have kind of like my personality is what is it called? Like people say it's kind of hard to read me because I'm just kind of I have a stoner personality even though I don't smoke. So yes, I do. I do meditate. So the last lady that I just talked about it, she talked about her experience dating a white man was very traumatizing. In my book, I have stories about me dating white men and having one of their family members saying something to me. It was what I put in my book was I was dating a white man, and his brother made a comment about, oh well, if you guys had kids and brought your kids to the family reunion, we would know which ones your kids. It'd be like, darker ones. Totally unnecessary. The guy I was dating at the time did not see a problem with that. So yeah, this young Black woman, or I don't know if she was young when she was young, she was traumatized, and that happens. That happens that sometimes when white men have never dated a non-white person, they really don't. I mean, they don't see as much racism in parts of their family members until that Black woman comes around, and now the white man has to figure out: do I want to, you know, do I check this my family member? Do I ignore that my family member said this and tell the Black woman, oh, she's overreacting? Or do I go with my Black girlfriend or wife and basically check my family? This is stuff that doesn't really happen when you date someone who is Black. When a Black woman dates a Black man, I mean, you might have other problems within the family. Maybe his mama don't like you or something, but it's not anything about race. So to the next quote. The next quote is, when I think about white men, they do not really connect with my soul. White men want you to adapt to them. We are different. I don't want to have to continuously explain who I am. Woo, woo. Yes, I can relate to this one too. So, the part where she says they really do not connect to my soul. Um, Me personally, I feel, and I have this in my book, that I feel that when a black woman dates a black man, I think because of the history of us, and when it comes to our treatment or how we've been treated in this country or worldwide, we just have that common thread. We just have that connection, that kind of deep understanding. Not saying a black woman cannot get with a white man and get that kind of soul tie. It's possible, you know, but it's just something a little bit different when a black man and a black, it's like this kind of, I talk about in my book, this kind of energy. And I kind of feel like when a white man dates a black woman and they do get that energy, it has to kind of be worked on because they might not have those common threads of their DNA or skin color, or they don't, excuse me, they don't. So they would have to find other things to get that kind of soul connection. And the thing about continuously explaining things, I talk to black women about this also. They have never dated a white man. So you have three kind of white men. You have the standard white man, the humanitarian white man, and you also have the flavored white man. The standard white man is the white man that can date a black woman, can sleep with a black woman, can even marry a black woman, but he never really connects to who she is or who her people are. And this is the kind of man that will make an excuse for something that happens as blatantly racist. He'll make an excuse for it, or he'll make his black girlfriend or wife the exception and could talk about black people like they're trash, but his partner is the exception. She's not trash because she's with me. That's most standard white men. That's most white men, I'll just say. Most. Then you have the humanitarian white man. That's the one that's kind of like peace and love, hippie, where because they're so in tune with the earth and people and humanity that they truly don't really see color. That a woman's a woman. They could fall in love with an Asian, a white woman, a black woman. It's the woman and the feminine energy they're attracted to. Then you have the flavored white man. The flavored white man can be flavored for different reasons. He can be flavored because he was raised around black people. He can be flavored because he has been around black culture, or he could be flavored because he kind of has a deeper understanding of what black people go through and has accepted it. And a flavored white man, if when I have talked to black women about them possibly dating a non-black man, a white man, I say try to find the flavored ones. And the flavored ones, you just because the person acts like or acts like they have a little swag does not mean they're flavored. It's about how they view black people and how they view our culture, and if they have a deep respect for it. Those are the ones that are easier to be with because you don't have to explain a lot. Like this last quote I read about she doesn't want to continuously explain who she is. A flavored white man, you don't have to explain why you wrap your hair. You don't have to explain why you use cocoa butter. You don't got to explain, all these things because they are around black culture and they know it, or either they're so open to and eager to learn and not eager to learn to talk down about black people. They want to learn because they want to learn more about their woman's culture and where she came from. Okay. Hey, Sneaky. Thank you. Much love to you too. Much love. So I am reading a part of chapter 7 from my book, A White Man's Whore, that you can find on Amazon. If you have problems finding it on Amazon, type in A White Man's Whore and then my name, Minnie Alexander, and it should pop right up. So I'm reading quotes from chapter 7, and chapter 7 is titled, I Will Never Date a White Man. So this is just women that I have interviewed for my book, and with black women who are firmly against dating white men. And I just asked them why. So the next quote from a black woman is, when a white man gets a black woman, he treats her like a trophy, like a thing. White men feel like they have a one up on black men. It gives white men excitement to have a black woman. White men act as if they save a black woman by being with her. Woo! Can relate to that one too. Can relate to that one too. In reading that one, I remember I was dating a white man, and we went somewhere, and there was a group of black men. And after me and the white man left, he made a comment about, like, ooh, I know those brothers felt some kind of way seeing me walking with a beautiful black woman like you. I'm just looking at him I just looked at him kind of like, really? So that quote kind of, it could be. It could absolutely be that some white men think they have a one up on a black man. And, and it also goes to how the black woman looks. I found that out in writing my book. If a black woman is more attractive, the society, stamps her as more attractive than a white man. Some. I never talk about everybody. Just some white men might feel like they do have a one up if they see a black man. Like, I have something that you probably want because she's pretty, she has a nice body, or whatever it might be. Possibility. Versus, again, take out her being black. Just say if he was with a white woman, would he really act that way? Would he get around another white man and flaunt his woman like, look at this white woman I have? No, he wouldn't. So that is a possibility. Again, any black woman who, I would never tell a black woman not to date outside of her race or a non-black person if she wants to expand her options. But read my book, so you do not have to fall in that pit of the white men who, honestly, they don't look at you besides anything. Only they look at you as is a exotic piece of meat. Not all white men. There are some white men that love black women down to the from the inside out, up and down. That's just what they like. And I have interviewed some of those white men. And I like to dig deep. I like to ask why. What made you like black women? And it's crazy because a lot of them have had experiences, but between the age of like being a toddler to being, an older teenager, where they've had really good experiences with black women. They might have had fun. They might have been accepted by black women. One white man I know, he actually had a babysitter who was a nanny or babysitter who was a black woman, and he talked about how well she took care of him, and she basically loved him like it was her, like he was her own, and that shaped his perspective on black women. He likes black women, and he and I had a dig. He couldn't even, when I asked him why he liked black women, he couldn't even explain it to me. I had to ask him questions and go back in his history, and now we both understand why. And I think that's a beautiful thing, to have for a white man to have an experience with a black woman at a young age, and it's a very positive experience. That's wonderful. So that is all I'm going to read out of chapter 7. If you guys want to read more, please buy my book, A White Man's Whore, on Amazon. Again, if you have problems finding it, type in A White Man's Whore in my name, Minnie Alexander, and it should pop right up. So, let's see what I'm gonna announce. So I'm gonna be interviewed tomorrow, and I'm trying to see exactly. Again, I am so horrible with names and all that stuff. I'm trying to see if I could let you guys know where exactly I'm going to be interviewed tomorrow about this particular topic and about my book. I'll find it. So this, I was looking at like just statistics, and I don't like to quote statistics unless I know for sure that the statistics is coming from a source that is, they know what they're doing when they're getting their data. But it still remains that there's way more black men. Excuse me, way more black women than there are black men. And just telling you guys a little bit about my history and me dating white men. I can't say I was 100% against black women dating white men, but I was a little bit more resistant until just recently. Even writing this book, the book came from an educational point of view, because I don't know any other black woman that has dated so many white men besides myself. Again, I started off when I was young. I was 16 years old. And again, not exclusively. I've dated black men too. So I kind of just put my experience in this book to try to help other black women. And you can even say women of color. I ran into this woman. She's half Japanese and half white, but she looked more Hispanic. But anyway, and so I asked, she was an older lady. I think she was in her 60s when her and I talked. And I asked her, do white men sexualize you when they find your mixture, when they find out your mixture, that you're Japanese and white? And her and I had this long conversation, and she told me, went back into her youth and talked about, how it would excite them to be with her because she was white, but then her features, she had this exotic type of look. And she was talking about how it made her feel. And so that's what I wanted to put in my book, about men like that, how to go around them. Don't let them fool you, black women who want to try it. But then there's also white men out there, or I've dated white men where my color, my hair was never a topic. It was not something they bring up all the time. They saw me as just Minnie, a woman. And then we would talk about race and stuff, but it was me. They were able to look at me. And that is very hard to find, because again, all the stereotypes of black women out here, and these stereotypes are fed to white men. One thing I love to ask white men, especially the ones over 50, when we start talking about race and I don't see color and da 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 da, and they give all these different things about how they try to prove that they're not racist or this, I love to ask older white men, have you ever been the only white male in a room full of black men? And most of them have said no. And I'm like, how sad is that? You're in a country with all these melting pots of different people, and you've never been the only white person in a room full of black men. So then it makes me go and say, please don't talk about our culture, because you don't know our culture. You've never been put into that situation where you felt that being uncomfortable, or got in a situation where you can actually see us in our natural, comfortable state. It's crazy. But then of course, you ask the black person if they've ever been in a room full of white people, and that's our life. If it's at our job, or the grocery store, wherever. And that's what a lot of interracial relationships, black women and white men, I think the sensitivity from white men are missing. They have this thing about American culture. They have this American culture in their head, and they forget that black people have their own culture too. It's like we have two cultures. We have the black culture, and we have the American culture. And the American culture, if you were born and raised in America, hamburgers and French fries and red, white, and blue, and 4th of July, fireworks, and the national anthem. We all know that. And why a lot of white men, that's just what they think everybody follows. And that's just because we were born here, and they're not sensitive to Black people. We have our own culture. You know, how we talk to our kids, how we interact with our parents, the food we eat, how we, how we welcome each other, the little phrases we say. So if there are Black women out there listening and you are again thinking about dating a non-Black man, try to find a non-Black man that is willing to learn about your culture. And he does it not just to shut you up, but he does it because he realizes that in those aspects you guys are different. And he wants to learn who you are. That's what you need to look for. And also being sensitive to him too. Just because his ancestors were rapists and killers and thieves and all the other nasty things that Europeans were around the world, it's not something to hold over his head in guilt, to make him feel guilty. So it needs to be sensitivity on both ends. So, okay, you guys. So I found out where so 7:00 West Coast time, tomorrow, I will be interviewed by The Honest Truth. So if you go to YouTube and you type in The Honest Truth at 7 p.m. West Coast time, I will be interviewed. The Honest Truth told me that, kind of gave me a little bit about how his setup is. And he has a wonderful setup. He has people calling in, and he has, so I'm going to be, having callers call in and ask me questions about my book and the topic of interracial dating. And I'm ready for it. Listen, I take the positive with the negative. Everybody has their own opinions, and I respect everybody's opinions. So tomorrow night, if somebody gets in the line and they're a little feisty, I'll listen to them, And if someone wants to ask questions about, or positive stuff, then I'll take that too. So tomorrow night at 7 p.m. West Coast time, The Honest Truth. So you guys, he has a notification up. If you go to his site, his YouTube channel, you can actually be notified when this show is going to start tomorrow night. So I'm kind of excited. I'm ready. Yes. And while you guys are listening, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please. I'm going to go through my book a little bit more on not this video, but other videos. And just kind of give you guys the background on why I wrote what I wrote. And if you guys were not listening when I first started, I am doing one-on-one sessions. And you're probably like, what in the world are you doing one-on-one sessions for? So in interracial dating, I didn't really have anybody to talk to, no other Black women to talk to. I was the person who talked about it and was the one who Black women asked questions secretly about, dating white men. So I want to be that outlet to Black women who are thinking about interracial dating, or they're in an interracial relationship and they just need someone to talk to, and none of their friends, their mothers, their aunts can relate, or either they just don't want them in their business. I do one-on-one sessions. My price is not terribly expensive for an hour of us chit-chatting. You guys can reach me at 916-883-1133. Please text me first, and then we can discuss when we can set up a time to chat if you are interested. And I also extend this to white men also. White men who are dating Black women or who are thinking about it, and they want to know the best approach. They want to know if maybe we can even go through and see if the means of them wanting a Black woman is even pure. Dig deep. I ask a lot of questions. If you guys want a one-on-one session, you guys are welcome to contact me too. 916-883-1133. My favorite number is 33. Yes. So again, contact me. We do one-on-ones. You have nobody to talk to. I am here to talk to you and figure this stuff out and be your support, or try to figure out, what decision you want to make. No judgment on my end. So I am going to end tonight because I need to work on some other things. But thank you guys for listening, the ones who are live with me. And again, thank you for your support. I was nervous with writing my book, nervous being on YouTube and talking about this particular topic. But what I do is I just stare fear right in the face and keep on going. So thank you. You guys have a wonderful Monday night. Again, my book, A White Man's Whore. My name is Minnie Alexander, and you guys have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.